Welcome to part 7. We are moving right along. So on part 7, we're going to address an issue that we introduced on part 5. If you missed that part there, please just go back to it and understand what problem we introduced and how we're going to go about actually trying to fix it. So on part 6, we explained what the problem was, we described it, we gave it a name, we kind of put it out there, and we put part of the solution there, right? Which is creating an interface. So I say part of the solution because we created an interface, but we haven't used it yet, okay? Welcome to part 7. We have Welcome to part 7. In this section here, we're gonna address an issue that we introduced on part 5, okay? Part 5, we introduced a problem, a dependency problem to be precise. And we explained, we really didn't go into details on part 5, we went into details on part 6. So if you missed that part there, please go to part 5 to understand the problem that we introduced and go to part 6 to explain the actual problem, identifying it. Part 6 is where we actually put it under microscope. We identified it and we gave it a name, okay? Then after giving it a name, we created the solution. So there, part of the solution, so to be precise, we created part of the solution, we didn't implement it. So that's why I say part of it. So on this here, part 7, we implementing the solution that we created. So what did we do on part 5, just to take, part 6, just to take you back? On part 6, part 5, we introduced the problem. Part 6, we created an interface. Now part 7, we need to implement that interface. Okay, let's go back and see where we were calling that notification service. This is the part that we said was a problem, okay? So now, remember I said we need a spec that says we need somebody that can do A, B, C, D, as opposed to we need a person, sorry about that, as opposed to we need a person, a specific person to do this job. So here we say it's similar to us saying this is a specific person. We need a notification service. But ideally, we don't need notification service. We need somebody that can implement the iNotification service, which is our job spec in this sense, okay? So now how do we go about refactoring this code here to actually get it to work? Now, what we're gonna do is we introduce the interface already and we made sure that we actually implement it and hence our little functions here. So how do we go about doing that? So we're gonna go and say, okay, Mr. or Miss bank account, you're not gonna create notification service anymore, okay? That's not what you're gonna do. You're not gonna be in charge of doing that. And then you're like, then how are we gonna be able to call notify all channels? We're gonna program against an interface. Make sense? Programming against an interface makes our code to be flexible. That means we don't depend on specific functionality or a specific class to do something. We depend on any class that can implement that functionality, which is basically what we did there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back there and say, okay, what do we do here? I'm gonna say underscore here, we're gonna say I notification service, and then I'm gonna say, just call it notification service here. And I'm gonna then say, okay, it doesn't seem like it wants to do what I want to do. I like being lazy, okay? So we're gonna create a field, and this is what we did here. It created a field, a read-only field, and whatever we passing here on our constructor, it then will set that value to that notification service. So normally what happens is, as a convention as well, kind of rename this here and put an underscore here. The private read-only methods normally have an underscore. You will see that's how you notify them most of the times. Okay, so once we're done, so that means whoever is implementing our bank account will need to pass this as a parameter here. Then once they need to be in charge of providing how the bank account should call the notifications, okay? And once we're done with that now, instead of now coming here and say, hey, we're creating this, we are now getting rid of that day, right? Can literally even just remove it. And then from then on, I can then just right click, just click that and then say underscore notification service dot notify all channels. Okay. Now, seemingly now you can look at our code and say, why do we really need this private method in order to just call one line here? And it doesn't make sense. You write by that, okay? So instead of that, I'm going to just come here and say, okay, we kind of fixed our code there, so we're just going to do something of this nature here. I'm going to do that. That copy and pasting I was telling you about, that's exactly what I'm doing here. Very bad, but hey, sometimes I just need to be quick here because I'm a slow typer. So then I'm going to take this guy here, remove this guy here. And once that guy is removed, we also need to come here and say underscore notification service dot notify all. Before you guys judge me, let me type for once in my life here. Okay, now we got all of that. So let's make sure that the code is still running. We're still in the same place that we were basically. Okay, so let me go no here because we're having an issue here, and then I'm gonna double click and see. Okay, so our bank account is complaining about that and say, hey, what is it that you're doing now? So let's comment this out for now. And go back there under bank account, and then let's try and build again. We will get to fix our code there, don't worry about that. So also here, we need to do that. Okay, so it seems like it's multiple places where I'd call that, but anyway, let's now, not the test here, build. Okay, the build succeed, right? So we did see that our test the build succeed here. So now we're gonna go back to our test and literally see what needs to happen here. Okay, let's fix our test now. So our test now complains about, obviously now how we create our instance here has changed. We're taking two parameters here. So now what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna say var notification service is equal to new notifications service notification service. Okay, and then I'm going to open a close bracket there, close it. Right, then I'm going to come here and say that, and then we're going to say notification service over here. Okay, now you guys might be wondering, you said the new keyword was bad, but you're doing it here. But remember, here, it's not inside the bank account, okay? This is where I'm actually calling these methods. So I can do the preparation from outside, and then I can then pass this as a parameter in here, and then we can continue having our discussion. So what did we do here? We did the exact same thing here. We just passed down the notification service in the bank account, injected it, so to say. So this passing here is called injecting. So we're injecting our dependency here. Okay, so then what is happening is we now have it here, and then we are now able to just call it here. Okay, so let's run and see what we fixed here. What did we do? Did we fix our issue? No, the test is still failing. So why all that fuss creating interfaces and restructuring our code and doing all of that? Why did we have to do all of that? And that actually allows us to do something, okay? What does it allow us to do? When you program against interfaces, it's just as what I said before. It's like saying, I don't need a specific person. I'm not saying I want Tlhogi as a developer. No, I want anybody can be Tlhogi that can do these functions. And that's what a service, an interface is doing, right? It's saying, hey, this is what whoever wants this role must implement these. That's basically what it is. It's just a specification, a contract, the requirements of saying, this is what you need to do. It's as simple as that. So therefore, what does that allow us to do? It allows us to do something like this, to create a fake service of notification service. What do I mean by that? Just creating a service that doesn't really do anything. It's just a dummy service that's supposed to make sure that my test doesn't fail. Remember that our test is still failing. Just look at that. I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just going to come here and say new. Create a new class here. And then I'm going to say, call it notification, notification fake, whatever, right? Just going to call it notification fake. Right. Notification fake, actually, but I'm not going to put it in the class here. Notification fake is going to do something like this. Let me put it public here. It's going to be the guy that's supposed to be implementing those functionality as well. So I'm hiring notification fake. It could be notification original. It can be notification whoever. It doesn't matter. As long as they need to implement the functionality of our notification service. As soon as I say you need to implement that, then it complain and say, my guy, you don't really have these functionalities here. Then we're like, okay, no, actually I can do them. So we put them in there. So now the error should go, right? So now all I'm going to do here is that I'm going to remove these exceptions here. And that's about it. I can choose, because we don't need to return anything here. These methods are all void. I can leave them as empty as that, right? So now the difference now is this. Notification service. Now, instead of looking for notification service, we're going to say notification, notification fake. That's the first one there, right? Notification fake, and we're still not getting an error here because this guy doesn't care bank account. He just wants a notification. Whether it's fake, it's what, it doesn't care. As long as you implement in my contract, our notification service, and I can call this method. That's about it, right? So then once we are done, we're going to just run this. Remember, I didn't change that part there where we were throwing that, what do you call it? Where we were throwing this exception here, right? I didn't change it. So let's go back to our test and see what is happening here. Let's right click and run. Bam, our test passes. And you're like, Kochi, are you serious? So what just happened there? What happened was, because we're looking for our notification service, we asked this guy to say, hey, Mr. Fake, just implement this here, and whatever you do here, as long as you have those methods, I don't care how you do them, just make sure that you have them, and from then on, I don't care. That's basically that, as long as I can call them. And that's basically what we did there. It's like me saying, hey, I need a developer. There must be C# developer. I don't care how they do it. I don't care how they write their for loop, their each statements and all of that. I just care that they're developers and they can do what I want. Can you develop? Yes, done. So same thing here. Hey, notification fake guy, are you able to implement our notification service contract, the contract that I gave you, the spec? Like, yeah, and then we implemented them here. And then instead of saying how, they didn't care. And this guy doesn't care how you do it. So long as you conform with these here, that's all this guy cares about, that you got the void and everything. Because if you were to change this, for example, let's say maybe instead of making it a string, you say int, for example. We should get an error that say, yeah, you're not implementing what I'm doing, and that's exactly what is happening there. So we need to undo that and then go back to where we were. And that's basically us using our interface. That's it. Simple, done and dusted. So my advice to you is this. When writing code, right, you have multiple classes. When they communicate with each other, make sure that you're using interfaces so that you can code against interfaces. Later on, that sets the platform actually for later on that you have testable code. And this whole idea here of me having this in the class, passing this R notification and still calling it here and not doing the new keyword inside this class here, that's actually called making your code loosely coupled. I introduced the problem in part 5. If you missed that, go there. The problem of tight coupling. So meaning your code is coupled together, okay? It knows too much about other classes, and it shouldn't. It should just know the functions that other classes have, but how it goes about creating that class, it shouldn't care. So right now the creation was given to the program.cs, who's the implementer. Rather in this case, because we're writing test, is done by this guy here, okay? And that's about it, and everything else should work from then on. So in our test, we're using the fake, but within our code there, we are using the real class here. Let's see, bank account. Let's see, we are using our real class here. We're calling this guy, let's see here, we have a notification service. Yes, we have our notification service here. So we'll call the real guy here, which is notification service. Right now it will fail. Obviously our production code should fail because, hey, we don't have, we're still throwing an exception here. And we can simply just get around that by removing this here. Now we're simulating that everything is back up. And we continue. Our code should still be running. Let's see if it's running, okay? Because you're going to say, hey, Klochi, but you are lying to us. So we need to come back here and fix our code a bit. Because remember here, we're taking in just one parameter, but now it takes a couple of parameters. So var notification service, so I'm going to say ns for now, and then say new equal to new notification. Notification service. There we go. And then we can do that. And then I can come in here, and then as a parameter here, I'm going to just pass ns and then leave it at that. And then let's see if what our code is doing here. So run that, and we should be where we were technically. So let's see. That's taking a bit of a while. Okay, we're waiting. Visual Studio is not doing what we needed to do. Let's see what's wrong here. I'll just build just so maybe it refreshes. You know, I don't know, Visual Studio sometimes. So let's see if that happens there. Notification service. Okay, let's see what's wrong. At times, Visual Studio can be such a pain at times. I'm going to step through and then see, and then we have that. And then we're going to go in here, deposit the amount. Okay, so we're having some issue here on deposit. It doesn't seem like it's going through that. So what is the problem that we're having with deposit? Okay. The problem is not coming up. So let's see. Okay, let me run it again. Let's go under deposit and see exactly what is happening on deposit here. Go implement and then deposit. If amount is greater than that, greater or equal to that, and then let's see if we are coming here into deposit method here. Okay, I'm gonna go, let's see what's happening here. Debugging, so you're also learning debugging here as well. So let's see, that's 500 there. Notify our channels. Okay, we're having an issue on notify all channels here. Let's see what's the problem there. Okay, let me stop that and then go under this here. We shouldn't have this problem. My notification service, I don't know why Visual Studio is acting up. And let's see. And that actually marks the end of our video here. But yeah, we are done. Okay, I'm gonna restart Visual Studio and let's see what happens there. So I'll reopen it because I don't know what is happening here. My life, you might have the same issues here. Hopefully you don't have the same problems in your life. Let's see. Let's run that. Okay, so still the same test, and let's go here and see what happens. Oopsie, continue, that's what I needed to say. Come on now, why is this struggling to come out? Ah, there you go. Let me close it and make sure it's actually working here. Let's run that, bring it on this side. Oh, okay, seems like it was just a Visual Studio problem really. But you can see our code is working there. So now, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I am done in this regard, so I'll check you in the next section here. Botsa tlhogi.